Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is a Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, along with the altcoin market, the XRP price chart. We take a look over there at precious metals. We get ready for the stock market to open up in about 30 minutes from right now. And then lastly, we wrap it up with taking a look at any type of financial news or crypto news as we kick off the halfway point of the week. And then we kind of end the stream by me just being a goofball, hanging out in chat and seeing what you guys are up to. It is Wednesday, so I hope you're having a wonderful week. Happy Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dude.
I assume when there's people who watch the replay of the live stream, they know they have to kind of like jump forward an entire minute. And this is where they pick it up, right here. Like, let me get through the frog and then see what he has to say. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've had some action over here in the crypto market in the last couple of days. It's been just continued kind of craziness throughout all markets. We have silver knocking on $92 this morning. 92, dude. Did you know that like a silver $0.50 costs like $32 or something now? Like a dime is worth over $6. It is crazy out there. Yeah. All right. So like we're almost at the halfway point of the week, right? So or halfway point of the month, right? Tomorrow's the 15th. That's the halfway point. I've been writing the newsletter. The new newsletter will be published tomorrow morning. I'll be recording that and editing that recording this afternoon to get it ready for publication first thing in the morning. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. As for crypto, we were talking about it yesterday, decisive moment. Are we kind of nearing the end of this ranging stuff? Are we ready to kind of kick into gear with some type of retrace to happen over here for Bitcoin? We are now 8 weeks sitting on top of this 100-week moving average. Back in 2022, this was right? No, yeah, okay. Boom and boom. That was our 8th week from back in 2022. Now, it's kind of ridiculous to sit here and say we're going to go the exact same number of weeks or something like that, but it's just kind of a reference point to kind of give you an idea how long we've been down here. It's enough time for things to kind of absorb and then for things to kind of turn their way around to go in for some type of retrace. How much juice is it's going to have? It's the $1 million question, right? The post-liquidation breakdown levels up here around 106. So is the 200-day moving average. The 50-week moving average is all the way down here at 101. Still kind of trapped by this thing. Hard to really tell if we're still really kind of trapped in there or not. But, it's just kind of a patience waiting game in here. On Bitcoin, when it comes to things like XRP, that move isn't really all that crazy of what happened yesterday, just kind of based on structurally how much volatility you kind of see in here. I think it was Thursday of last week, maybe it was Friday, saying that, I thought it would kind of bounce around between $2 and $2.30 for the foreseeable future. It's still kind of my thoughts. We'll see if it's got more juice to get up there to closer to that $2.30 level, kind of something like that in there, or how this is going to transpire in here. But it looks like it kind of lost a little bit of yesterday's steam. Kind of give you an idea just on how these things can kind of meander in here. Those are just still kind of my thoughts, at least for XRP, because we've already gotten back to the post-liquidation range, and the post-liquidation breakdown has already happened in here. I've been seeing people post a lot more of it over there on X now, but not really providing context on why they think that level is important. That, of course, is right up in here in this, $3,800, $3,900 price level in here. It's what we've been showing really, since we got way over in here on this type of thing, that's kind of the target area for Ethereum for like a retracement leg to happen. So there's still room left on that. It's just still, just like I said, I know we got a nice move yesterday, but still, whether or not it's kicking into full gear to go in for that, or if this is still going to trap and still kind of consolidate first before it ends up getting there, I don't really know or have a strong conviction on it one way or another. But of course, you guys know that's where the post-liquidation range breakdown level happened from in here. And that's really precisely how things went back in the 2022 bear market into a retracement in here. I saw things even in the chat before we started. Like everybody's trying to predict the negative narratives, right? Or like things that they think could be the causation of price to actually end up going down. Whether that's the Clarity Act doesn't get passed or something happens with this tariff stuff, right? You have to reflect back on like what usually happens if we get a capitulation leg to end up coming in the market. And it's usually going to be things you didn't see coming. It's going to end up being things that you never dreamed up or thought of. And a way to reflect back on that was just simply what happened back in 2022. You could have predicted every negative narrative you wanted to. You wouldn't have predicted any of those things that ended up happening. And that's why the market gets so spooked and the market gets so scared, because they're typically surprises. They're things we didn't see coming. They're things that everybody can blame and say, oh, this never would have happened if we didn't get this negative news narrative. This fall was entirely silent. It was the silent fall. It's very similar to what we've had happen here in late 2025, where there was just a silent fall. But then surprisingly, once we crack through here, what happens? Luna collapses to zero. UST collapses to zero, right? Then you have the 3 arrows Celsius stuff. Then you end up having the 3 arrows capital stuff. Then you end up having Celsius, right? These things not expected, not foreseen to end up happening. And then the collapse of FTX, not seen to be coming. These are all surprises, right? And so everybody tries to always guess like, oh, I'm reading the news headlines. I'm reading what is being fed to be my mainstream media for me to think of what is actually important. And tariff stuff, whatever way that goes is important. Or the Clarity Act stuff, whatever way that ends up going is important. How do things usually end up happening? You usually end up peaking in some type of retrace on actual really good news. And then price starts falling while the moment is actually really good. And then surprises end up showing up down in here that you didn't see coming, that make you not want to touch it, make you want to sell your bags at the lows and make you want to get out. And that's just kind of the psychological way that markets end up working. Similarly to in here, right? Market totally terrified of tariffs. We see a volatility spike happen in the S&P 500, right? And you get up here, the market is utterly euphoric and excited and thinking that we're going to go to the moon. And there's literally zero chance that we're going down. And you're so dumb if you think it is going to go down, right? So usually the reversal points are going to be marked by the opposing forces, right? So I don't look at it as being like, oh, we're going to come up here and there's going to be some negative news that's going to turn it around. I think again, I can't predict the future fully on something like this, but it's based on how I see things is that oftentimes we'll move up, excuse me, and it'll be some really positive news that ends up marking the peak, right, or the top. And then the negative things that utterly terrify you don't come until later, and they're typically things you're not going to guess, you're not going to predict, and you're going to be surprised by them and startled by them. So I wanted to comment on that because I saw somebody say it in the chat of what they were predicting of what like the narrative will end up being. It's usually not. It's usually going to be something that you don't see coming. It's usually something every analyst can lean their hat on and say, well, this never would have happened if the catalyst didn't occur. And the thing is, we just haven't had any catalyst. It's been utterly silent. And even these bottoms, all of these bottoms are marked with something negative, right? Like this was tariffs, right? We had another volatility spike of craziness that happened back over in here. I don't really remember what it was back in August, but I bet somebody, here, I'll look it up. August volatility 2024. What was it? It was the Bank of Japan stuff, right? People were spooked of the carry trade, right back in here, and that marked the bottom. So anyway, I thought I would just comment on that type of stuff for trying to predict narratives. I don't know what the narratives are going to be, but the thing that I am humble enough to know I don't know what they will be, because we typically don't know what they are until they happen, and there's something that spooks everybody. So, Fear the Sea said, BCB would say, thank you for all your guidance over the years. I work as a mechanic for Volvo, and the shop boys look at me funny when Wednesday starts blasting. Yeah, well, I hope they like it. All right. Thank you, brother. All right, we got 1,000 people in the chat. If you guys could please hit the like button, I would appreciate it. It's the #1 way to support the channel. Go ahead and dive into stuff. How do we want to handle this, right? Let's do this. We have reached somewhat of a stall point, right? The climatic falling took place back there in November of last year in 2025, so about 2 months ago, right? I posted about it over there. Do I gotta go digging through all my tweets? I'm not gonna go digging through all my tweets. You can go look at it. We had high volume that showed up right here on top of this moving average. And so what I notice a lot of people love to do is they love to kind of like isolate charts and show them to you in this manner. XRP is probably one of the most notorious ones that people do it in. Let's do it like this. We'll go to the weekly time frame in here. And this is what I see a lot of. Is it this? I think it is. Are they doing it on the daily time frame? All right, I don't know what they're doing, but I see people always trying to show charts, and what they do is they start it right here. They say, since the start of the bull market, this is blah, 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 blah meant this. But what they don't do is they don't go back and include this one, because if they showed what happened right in here, it would immediately change everybody's story to saying, well, wait a minute, no, everything that you're saying about this bull market would actually imply we are right in here. And so that's just kind of the context that we're in still, is that we have these types of things going on in here in the market right now on larger time frames, right? But what we know when we mark these things out, this one's a little harder. 2018 was a little bit more difficult, but obviously it was still a bear market. But looking at this context, we can see where these markers end up coming into play, right? And I'll just shift this out of the way for just a second, right? Our monthly crosses end up coming in here. But what ends up happening at those particular moments in time is we do end up seeing a little bit of a turn back happen up in here on the weekly indicators, right? So we get a little bit of a push back up happen here in the weekly indicators. So what you'll see a lot over there on X is you're going to say, look, weekly crosses are incoming. It's super mega bullish. But leaving out that part, it's kind of like, well, we don't want to include that. And so we're not going to show this part here when we're providing the analysis. We're going to make sure that one's kind of cut off and not shown in there. And so you have to be real careful of that when you're looking at X, that they don't want you to see that, because it changes the narrative in here of like what happens when you end up having this occurring here when you're on a monthly time frame that has already gone into the cross, right? So that's the context we're in, is we're in a monthly cross happening in here with weekly strength kind of coming back in here, right? Like the momentum of all of this action has started to wane. But then you say, okay, well, what context would you be in for something like that to end up happening, where you've had the monthly already cross, you've had these big bearish divergences happen on these larger time frames, and then you're just kind of sitting down here, right? Like you can see, like even with our little dotted line that we have in here, what have we done? We've gone below, right? New low on relative strength. We've gone below these levels over in here, and we're kind of curling back up, kind of like we did over here, where we go below and we're kind of curling back up in here. And that this is typically what happens, which of course is the exact same context of something like this, right? Or something like this. And so it's of course exciting to see like some price action return after, we went down for I don't think it was actually months, right? Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a little bit less than 2 months. And now we've been just kind of been stalled for about 2 months to finally see some action return. But there having to be a lot of caution in here on, where's this thing going to stall out? If you're just going to go back test, like if it's going to be as simple as going and back testing the breakdown range for Bitcoin, that's clearly way up in here. It's at like 106. I don't know if it's going to get that high. That is what our past stuff does, right? It goes back to our breakdown range, right? So that's still in the cards, but it's having to like remember where are you at on the larger context. And that's just how I have to continue to look at it in here. And I look forward to not doing it anymore. I look forward to the crowd saying, we're in a bear market. We're in a bear market. 12K. And then we could say, no, you don't understand. We were in a bear market. We're now beyond one. We're now accumulating for a new bull market. So that's kind of what I'm waiting on. But I wanted to just show you that there's a lot of trickery that happens on X on timeframes where people will cut things off to only show you in these types of contexts in here rather than including the full context on larger timeframes. Where you have to take into the larger time frame context, where if you're going to, in anything, right, if you're going to apply any type of indicator or any type of fractal behavior, you want to make sure that you're applying something that at least has a similar context. When we're applying these fractals on here and things like that and talking about that, it's because we're applying a similar context on larger time frames. We're not just picking and choosing what fractal we want to look pretty here. We're picking what matches the context. And so when we see weekly things start to turn over in here, definitely exciting, right? Who doesn't like a little bit of green action? But we still have to remain really cautious in here. And like I talked about on in yesterday's video, on everything, really, right? Like getting above this post-liquidation back test, right? Where we liquidate and then we back test, right? I can change my tune very easily to say, hey, look, things are very different if we start exceeding these levels. Otherwise, where we're at right now, this corroborates everything that we're talking about when it comes to these higher time frame things and these strength coming back and these pushes up happening and things like this. It's still just right on cue. And so I don't come on here to be the negative Nancy. I don't come on here to be the meanie. Just we got to get through this. And I personally don't think we're going to have to talk like this for more than 2 more months. I think we'll probably be done with that. One thing is, too, I'm going to be at XRP Australia in late February. So, which is, of course, like right around the time where that looks like that wants to do its thing. Yeah. So anyway, if you live in Australia and if you want to go to this, by all means, go for it. I think I even have a discount code. I'm not paid to do this. No, I'm not going to make any money doing this. No, I'm not sponsored by them. No, they're not going to cut me a check if you go sign up and attend. It would be really nice, but that's not. I'm treating it more like a vacation for me. What's the code? If you use, I don't even know what the discount is, but the code is BCB 2026. So yeah. Anyway, I'll be at that. I think that's in 44 days. There you go. Let's see if that dude that I know is on there. I knew him. That was him. Hold on. There he is. There he is. There he is. There he is. Holy cow. Anyway, yeah, there I am. It's always crazy. I get to hang out behind the comfort of my computer screen, and I've built this YouTube channel where I don't even have to turn my camera on, so I can totally just like chill, not even fake a smile. And but yeah, anyway, I'll be speaking at that thing. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. So yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, so like timing wise, like I said, I don't think you got Again, like timing. Let's talk about how great my timing track record is. It's pretty terrible. But I think that we are so deep into this thing. And why I kind of mocked it a minute ago to be like, people would be like, oh, we're in a bear market, we're in a bear market, is because that's how typically the crowd always is, right? The crowd does not identify that you're in a bear market at any point during the bear market. And then once the bear market has done its major inflicting damage, that's when they say we're in a bear market. And we have to, it's a big tug and pull being on this channel, because I'm always like, the crowd always hates me, man. Like, oh man. So, the reason I say that is somebody had also posted in the chat before I went live. They said, bring back spicy BCB. Spicy BCB was born in 2023 and 2024 when people were calling for 12K. And so we just don't have that, right? Like, every single day, people would come into the chat and say, we're going to 12K. And it would be over and over and over and over again. And I pretty much got tired of it and just started becoming spicy. Like, no, you're ridiculous, right? Right now, looking in the chat, does the crowd have some number where they're all like, we're going down to this number? No. Why? Because we're in like this middle period. We're in like this kind of uncertain middle time period where things aren't really obvious and the crowd doesn't have a big, at least half the crowd still thinks we're like in a bull market. We're just kind of transitioning in here. But we don't have like everybody one way. Right. And so that's like one like telltale sign. I always try to tell you guys, like try to give you guys like social cues and things like that too. Spicy BCB was born from having to fight against all the 12K stuff. There's none of that right now. Right. Absolutely none. There's been no negative narrative, no anything like that. And, again, I hate coming onto the channel and like being bear, because it's not me being bear. It's me just interpreting the data, interpreting the charts, and like trying to relay that to you the best that I possibly can. But I also look at the charts and try to relay this data and say to myself, I don't think we have more than 2 months left of this. We've been going at it since September. So we're in like our 4th month of doing this. I don't think we have more than 2 more months of having to do this type of stuff. So that's the positive thing about it all. But I think we just kind of got to get through it and get through some type of retracement action happening in here and being really mindful of the narratives that come out and things like that. And then, of course, what do we have? We have invalidations to say, well, things may be changing in here, right? So right now, none of that stuff has. We still haven't even hit targets on what would be interpreted as a appropriate retrace for things like Ethereum or for things like the altcoin market, which we've shown time and time again. The altcoin market up in here between 1.41 and 1.49 trillion dollars. Still just hovering around in here, waiting to see if we can get that to come in here. So yeah, $92 for silver. How about that? So otherwise, Monero. Hi. Full disclosure. It feels weird to say this. I'm going to say it. My Monero bag has grown so big, it has overthrown my Bitcoin bag, and it has overthrown my Ethereum bag to be my 2nd largest holding behind XRP. I didn't think, I mean, like, I guess maybe that was always a thought, but never being like it would end up being that large, but it is. So, obviously Monero, over the course of 8 years, doing very similar to what took silver 45, full-blown breakout, an isolated event obviously happening in here. Bitcoin's not doing this. The altcoin market's not doing this. It's not reflected in the charts throughout the entire market. Hold on. Let's take a look here. Eric, I see your text message. Hold on. Okay, so I don't know if this has already happened yet, but this is also on the chopping block. Congress stock trading ban bill to get its first vote Wednesday. We've heard about this type of stuff all the time over the years of like threatening it and stuff, but it never really gaining any momentum. And will it happen? Has the vote already taken place yet? I don't know. Anyway, like in the last markets in the morning, I presented my thesis on that. I think that the stock market is in like wave 5. Also in my end of year newsletter, I presented that as well, that I think we're there too. So it's like, it is kind of perfect if they're going to force themselves to be really good people and sell all of their stocks for the good of the nation. Because everybody will agree with it. Everybody will say, yay, what a huge victory for America. So it's like the perfect scam, the absolute perfect scam. So we'll see all about that. Eric, I don't have any information. House panel takes up stock. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess they're going to start voting on it. Anyway, how do you want to be positioned? Do you want to long against Congress with their selling, or do you want to buy with them? What do you want to do? The reason we bring this up too, okay, right? Because I remember when the Fed banned themselves, they banned themselves at the top of the 2021-2022 bull market. So Tony Wentz says, can you see a pullback? What would be your target from Monero? BCB, great way to pay. I mean, there's going to be pullback. Look, when you're in price discovery, you don't really have any levels to pick as like logical places where there could be some resistance outside of Fibonacci's. Those are really the only ways that there could be like reasonable levels of resistance to show up in here. Will there be corrections? Absolutely. Do I know how high it's going to go? No, I don't know how high it's going to go, but what's like a logical place to think it would at least go to? You would think logically it would get up here to the 4.236 extension, or at least close to it. Zcash. Zcash doesn't get out, right? But what was Zcash's problem? Really? That's all you got? Okay, hold on. Annoying. Anyway, Zcash hit its... I can't pull up the chart because it's going to mess up my other chart. Zcash hit its 4.236 extension on its market cap. But the reason that Zcash didn't is because over the course of years, the inflation just took control, right? When you have just 5 years of inflation happening on Zcash, it was unable to get there. So we're talking about Monero. Like, does Monero have the juice to be able to go and get near that 4.236 extension, right? Well, the difference between Monero is over the course of all of these years, barely any inflation, right? You can see the market cap is sitting here just below the 1.618 retrace, where also so is the price chart. So for all these years, the inflation rate of Monero is just teeny tiny itty bitty baby. So I think it's reasonable to at least look at it from that lens of, when things are parabolic, I get scared because then people are going to FOMO. I know this is a very dangerous place for people to be FOMOing, and it's what they just do. But I mean, if you looked up here towards the top end of the 4.236 or something like that, 1800, 1900 seems like a reasonable level. We'll see if it gets there, but it's a reasonable level for it to get to just based on measurements and based on exactly what we just saw with Zcash. That's where it got to, was on its market cap. I could create arguments for it to go even higher than that, but I'm definitely not willing to present those today. But that's obviously the major level to kind of keep an eye on for Monero. If we get there, I'll take some profits like I always do, no question, right? Will I take a risk for a little bit higher? Sure. Unlike Zcash, I didn't have I don't have the conviction on Zcash to be able to go for more, which it could, but I just don't have the conviction on it just like I have with Monero. And that just stems from like all the big names that are associated with Zcash and the timing of it taking off. That's what was really skeptical to me. You know, you've got the Barry Silberts, you got the Winklevoss people all involved with Zcash. It just left me feeling like it was kind of like a coordinated pump rather than anything kind of organic happening in the market. But Monero is more of like your Bitcoin, but with, you know, privacy layer. And so, you know, is Monero the new Bitcoin? I hope so. I hope so. At least that's how I'm positioned. So we'll see. All right, that's enough about Monero. People don't want to hear about Monero. We've got to go back to talking. I know like people like XRP videos do really well and other stuff. But of course, always the real important things to pay attention to, regardless of what coin you love, is just, you know, what is happening with the market in general. This should always be the main thesis of what is happening with the market. And maybe, you know, Monero breaking out and doing what it's doing is giving the sign that, yes, we are in a retrace here for the rest of the market. We are done with this move. Things are gradually shifting their way back up. Maybe, you know, Monero really catches some steam and it does get to like $1,800 or something like that. And then that kind of gives us a signal that we're stalling out in here at the same time. You just kind of use all of it together and intermingle all of it together to build a confluence picture. But maybe Monero is also giving that sign that, yeah, we're in our retrace right now. It seems like we're in our retrace when you look at things like Ethereum and when you look at things like the total altcoin market cap. So, yeah. So there you go. All right, Bitcoin, XRP. I think XRP has just already done its retrace. That's the thing on that, is I do think XRP has already done it, and that's what we had last week, and that's why on January 6th, at the literal peak of the retrace, why CNBC ran multiple pieces calling like XRP the darling trade of 2026. It reminded me of 2018, where at the peak of XRP, CNBC taught retail traders how to buy XRP. And then they did like the same thing January 6th. It was crazy. So, all right, there you go. Silver, 91.59. Gold, 46.32. Russell 2000 still up there, right? And this is, of course, the hard part for the entire picture of everything, is that we have markets creeping up. Well, they're down today, but, you know, they're creeping up, but we're left with this 45-year breakout in metals. And of course, Congress getting ready, are they really going to ban themselves here? But this is really the big thing, right? This is the dynamic of the market. We do not have a reference point to go off of. We are in a new paradigm here with all of this happening. Dollar still holding, still at 99, so nothing crazy there. But, you know, we've got our metals picture and we've got our equities picture and the big blur of all of them intertwined with each other. And we're really just kind of left with having to really, you know, at least on this channel, really having to stick with technical indicators on the cryptocurrency market as the thing that just remains consistent. It's like, well, where is there not any type of contradictions? Where is there not anything crazy going on? And it's when you just look at the technical indicators, the technical structures of the crypto market and what it's doing, right? Like you got all, like, dude, I've been seeing this all this last week. You see these people complaining over there on X about engagement being down and that it's the algorithm. It's like, where's your wake up call, dude? It's not the algorithm. It's that people don't care. And so it doesn't get shared. It doesn't get promoted. It doesn't get shown, because you can jam crypto and bull narratives down people's face all they want, but they get it, man. Right? The market's tame. It's been a bear market for a whole year. There's nothing exciting. Here's what will happen. Like, we'll have some loud capitulative fall or something like that, and then the crowd It will get a lot of attention. It'll get a lot of eyes on it, and then it'll come back in. But the algorithm is not punishing people for being crypto people. It's that this is where you are in the market. You're deep into a bear. Prices are boring. Prices are stagnant, right? You can sit here and build hopium on people all you want, but people will read through it eventually. There's going to be people who are just have cognitive dissonance, like we've talked about, but I don't think it has anything to do with the algorithm. If it has anything to do with the algorithm, it's simply because the engagement and viewership of crypto content is very low right now, and that's all it is. And I don't ever take it personal, right? Like when viewership is down on the channel or stuff like that, because it's totally an ebb and flow of what is happening with the market. I can fight that force all I want. I can double up my videos to increase my views. I can do whatever. I don't care. 2 more months. Boom. They'll be back. That's it. Okay. How long have I been rambling? I don't even know. Oh, 37 minutes of rambling. Great. I have 23 minutes to hang out in the chat and get through the news. Cool. Okay. Anyway, these are little squigglies I had left on the chart of others last week. What would be the torture chamber? I don't think we're going to see the torture chamber of that. But again, we had outlined like this kind of being that area, that being that post-liquidation range breakdown level. So it still looks like there's a chance for some more juice in here. Just, I'm not going to tell you what to do if we get in there. It's all up to you. Here's what I can show you. If it gets above the post-liquidation range, I'll change my tune instead of being like, yeah, we're following a bear to the T. We're following a bear to the T. If we got up there, I would start saying, we're acting differently. And that's just where the invalidation level of that would be. Otherwise, we just stick to it, man. And we're going to stick to it until we can get through it. So, all right, news. Bank of America tops estimates on better than expected net interest income. Good for them. Equities are trading. Citigroup tops estimates says loan loss provisions come in lighter than expected. And Airbnb poaches Meta, Gen AI leader, to be the new technology chief. Wow, that's great. UK rolls back digital ID for work checks as privacy fears drive backlash. Bitcoin cools near $96,500 as market shrugs off the U.S. tariff uncertainty. OKX users desperate plea. Hong Kong talks gold stablecoins. Asia Express. Efforts to bulletproof Ethereum are paying off in user metrics. U.S. Senate Agriculture Committee sets January 27th for Clarity Act markup. Crypto enters round 2 of institutional adoption, led by Morgan Stanley, says Binance. CZ's YZI Labs invests in training terminal as DeFi execution takes priority. Trump-linked World Liberty brings $3.4 billion in stablecoins into crypto lending markets, and Monero climbs to a new high of $687 as crypto surveillance tightens. Crypto's 2026 comeback hinges on 3 outcomes, Wintermute says. I got through 9 out of 10 of them without having to take a breath. Almost. Monero. For the W. Okay. All right, stocks are open, obviously. Russell down 8, Dow down 62, S&P down 33, NASDAQ down 211. No big deal. We'll go ahead and hop into the chat. So in summary, right, are we in a retrace? It sure appears like it, especially if Monero is actually giving us a signal in here. I'm not so certain that things like XRP really have much more to go, but I think a lot of the altcoins potentially could. You still have room over here on Total 2, like we've shown for months on end, and of course for Ethereum over here, as we've shown for months on end. Silver at $91, and we just keep on creeping. We just keep on pushing forward, trying to make it to the other side of all of this. And we will. I look forward to 2026. I look forward to putting this behind us. And what I'm hoping for, right? Here's what I'm hoping for, too. I'm hoping that if we do get the capitulation event, if we do get the despair, the loud thunder, the earthquake, the ground underneath us shaking, in the market, and the rattling, and boom, 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 that a lot of people were just prepared for that. I mean, that's all I can do is present it and say, were you prepared for it? And whether or not you do anything, like, it's not my business to, if you're going to sell or if you're going to buy, it's none of my business. But at least like emotionally preparing and making logical sense out of it if it ends up happening, where like it would make logical sense that some type of narrative unfolds or event unfolds that none of us foresaw coming, right? There's no, like, that's just how it goes. It's something you don't see coming. And being prepared for that some type of event happens that we didn't see coming, and just psychologically handling that. So hope so. Okay. All right. Let's get a go. All right, before the chat even started, as always, Chief Tane came out swinging with 50 memberships, and man, I'm always so grateful that you do that, brother. Thank you so, so much, man. Like, it starts the stream off amazing every time. Like, thank you. Ripple Reverend said, howdy BCB, 7-year follower. I'm probably like the biggest fan of your work. Thank you. I can't wait for open enrollment of your course. Expect to hear more from you as YouTube is finally not giving me difficulties when accepting my money. Brother, thank you very, very much. I mean, bcbacker.com is always open. That one's always open. The other one that I recorded 6 years ago, it's never going to reopen because the content in it was recorded, I believe, in July and August of 2020. So it was recorded 6 years ago. Those charts are just so outdated. That's why it kind of needed a revamp, a freshen up for anybody who wanted a new one. This one's even getting outdated as even now. You don't see me bringing it up as much on the channel. And I probably shouldn't be saying that. I should probably be telling you, this is the greatest thing you've ever had. Worth $39. You should totally do it, which I do think so. I tried to make it more timeless when I created it. But even this, I think this was recorded in 2023, right? It wasn't recorded in 2024, was it? It was 2023. So this was recorded in 2023. So this one's even starting to get a little bit of age on it. But yeah. So kind of, I don't know. Thank you, brother. Bulldog 1950 gifted 10 memberships. Bulldog, man, thank you very much. Crypto Lolick, 28 months, man, says pump or dump. Also, when moon BCB, my wife is asking. Respect, mate. Oh, I don't really get those when moon anymore. I kind of get, hey, when doom. Thank you very much. Jay McAllen, love you, BCB. Maybe you talked about it already, but your thoughts on silver. My barber is asking me if he should buy it. Yeah, it's getting a lot of retail interest right now. My thoughts are it's parabolic, right? But it's also in a 45-year breakout. Crypto people, right? Okay, so I'm speaking in these terms, but do not take offense by me saying this, okay? Just put your offensive guards down. Crypto people are very impatient, right? That is why meme coins do so well. If I can chase a 1-minute chart, I'll chase a 1-minute chart, right? People want things very quickly, and people are very gravitated to crypto because cycles are very fast, getting money quickly, extreme volatility, right? Like, that is what people love. This took 45 years to break out. There's no telling, like, right, one, do I think we're going to eventually go to $190? I do. Okay. I don't know if that will take 5 years. I don't know, right, if there will be something like that to make it happen, or if the parabola will continue moving at the velocity that it's at currently right now. But I think we'll eventually get there. Just, is it going to backtest this high again at some point before it does it? It could. Totally could. So those, when you are in a parabola that is in a 45-year breakout, you are left with the decision of, do you buy it here? And can you handle it? Right. Can you handle, that's almost 50% at this point. Could you handle negative 47% backtest? If you sit sidelined, can you handle it going like that? It's one of those things where, like, if you're not in it, the train obviously left the station. Just you have extreme risks if you buy it. You know what I mean? And, you know, if it's going to 185 or something like that, 180, I mean, that's only a 2x from here, right? Like, realistically, like, you go back to just February of 2024, go back 2 years ago, it's up 300%, right? So that's 100. You know, percentage-wise, has the train left the station? Yeah, the train's gone. You know what I mean? So, I know I haven't bought silver. I mean, I have not. Okay, let me reframe that. I have not bought silver once it broke through 40. I was done. No more. I'm not touching it because it's too volatile. New entries, they pose too much risk. So I'm not buying it. I'm in it, but I'm not adding new money to it. Fear of the Sea. Hey, BCB, I just wanted to say thank you for all your guidance over the years. I work. Oh, yeah, brother. Thank you. Fear of the Sea. Here, I'll give it to you again. Okay, get ready, man. Crank it up, bro. Let everybody know you are halfway through the week. This is considered the third best day of the week behind Friday and Saturday. So happy Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday. Dudes.
So happy third best day of the week, my dudes. Roll Finator 37 says, what were the two websites for Dev Report again? Sure. Developerreport.com. That one is free. Sentiment.net. They have some free stuff, but you can pay for it and it costs more. BC Adventurer 8852 member for 31 months. My brother, thank you. Hey BCB, you saved my portfolio last year. I appreciate you. Do you plan to sell more of your portfolio anytime soon? If so, what's your target? I will pull a little bit more off if we do get up in here. If we do get back into there, I'll pull some more off. Right. And so it leaves me room, right? Like, and people are very caught up in the gambling mindset of being like, you can't do though, you lose, you're not allowed to re-enter, right? That's where I've got to pull some out. If we start getting up here, then things start getting a little bit different, right? So, you know, where are my current exits that I've done in the market, right? Exit 1. Exit 2, right? So if we get up here, I still have room to be able to kind of make a decision on if I want to reallocate or not, right? At that point, we'll have gone beyond what I would expect, right? But if I take another one here, it will be smaller than these, right? Because I'm already at, and like I always say that I say I'm at 57% cash. The reality is it's much higher than that because the remainder of the portfolio has fallen, right? The remainder of the portfolio is down. The median it falls down 38%, which automatically means the cash position is like 65 to 70%, right? But relative to this portfolio right in here, it's at 57%, right? So, you know, whether I take another 10 to 15% right in here, right? And then if it gets up in here, then I have kind of an opportunity to like change my opinion if I want to change up in here. And it will just be minimal losses. Obviously, it'll be losses off of this. This 10 to 15% will take a hit from here to here. But these won't be damaged too bad and can kind of reassess at that time. And when we're looking at the big picture of the whole move, right, we're just talking about little areas in here. And we're talking, right, 3%, 4%, 5%, right, of these things in here. So anyway, that's my thoughts. But yeah, I do intend to take some off in here. And, you know, I know where I need to start being very mindful if things start changing, and that would be up in here. So, all right, there we go. We got to move in Bitcoin. Looks like we got to move in F. Right, so you can kind of see this in here, right? Like, so just caution. FOMO probably entering into the market pretty soon. Keep your eyes on it. That's what we'll be paying attention to. And I'll try to find a way to highlight that if I can see it. I don't see it yet. XRP says, my shiny rocks are melting my face. Yes, I have shiny hands. Rock fingers. Tony Wen, can you see a pullback? Oh yeah, brother, I already got you on that one. Thank you. Safraj, new member, welcome. Sihan Lifestyle, why are we cursed? RTY clean new all-time high, Dow Jones already many times. Yeah, that's the crazy thing. But we are sitting here after the biggest liquidation in history, and just to get some dead cat pounds, it seems, help us out here. Yeah, well, I mean, you got metals going the opposite way, right? What's the historical thing, right? So you like from the very beginning, we said this time is different, and I always am very critical of this time is different crowd because they believe in, you know, the narrative or whatever it is. But what we experienced the whole cycle was breadth issues. That was the weird thing. There was so much breadth issues happening in the market. And then at the very end, what do we get? We get this monstrous breakout in silver. And then the monstrous breakout coincides with what? Big liquidation crash in crypto, right? On the 45-year breakout of precious metals, that's when crypto gets decimated, right? So you're just living in a new paradigm of markets and market dynamics of what, you know, all the content creators go on, right? They all go on the 4-year cycle, right? They always use the block reward halving. But then when you get near the end, what they always do is go to extended cycles. Like what you're seeing about extended cycles is what they do at the end of every cycle until that happens. Then the cycle of content resets itself to become, all right, guys, the block reward halving is coming up in X amount of days, 482 days. Countdown begins. That, like, we repeat the content over and over again at the exact same time. But it's very common for us to be in the extended cycles narrative right now. It's just what we always do. But, you know, then the loud clanking comes. So, yep, this was the hardest cycle crypto's ever had. And 2021 was exponentially harder than 2017. Exponentially harder. 2024 and 2025 was exponentially harder than 2021 because for the first time ever, none of the dynamics that mattered happened on repeat again. We had identical markets for 2013, 2017, and 2021 when it came to equities, metals, breadth, everything happening in markets. And then you had a very different market in 2024 and 2025, which we highlighted the whole time, how it's so different and so difficult. You know, I think that is why people are saying extended cycles, block reward halving, it doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter now. I know I told you for years it mattered. But now, no. Keep watching, keep clicking my affiliate links. Ah! All right, we'll keep moving. All right, CPUP4MV, new member, welcome. Misha Wilson. I agree with all your TA, and I'm operating with the same assumptions as you at this point. But man, we live in different worlds on X. I can only think of 2, maybe 20 influencers I follow who say we're still bullish. Really? That's crazy. I wonder what happened. So, like, here's what I find, right? It totally depends on, like, if you're on the For You or if you're on the Following. If you go to the For You tab, whatever your kind of like sentiment is like kind of gravitating to, that's what's going to keep getting shown to you on repeat. So if you kind of like are reading some bearish stuff, then it's going to keep feeding it to you. But if you're only looking at your Following thing, it's going to give you an entirely different thing. And so I really have to like check myself when I notice that I'm using the For You tab and that I'm not being fed the algorithm stuff. And that I'm actually doing the following stuff to kind of get an opinion on it. Gregory Scott says, how do you copy a piece of the chart and paste over it? Yeah, it's pretty easy. So down here on the right side, there's the L button that's going to put you on a logarithmic scale versus a linear scale when you have it toggled off. Typically, when you want to copy a chart, you want to make sure that the logarithmic button is disabled. You don't want to have that disabled, so you want it to look white like that rather than black. And over in here, the top thing on here, you'll have this long position. No, wait. Am I in the right one? Yeah, I am. Okay, so you'll have this long position tool, and there's a little button right in here, and you click here and go down to bars pattern. And when you go to bars pattern, you can copy it and do that. And then you can go back to logarithmic if you want, and then you can place it in logarithmic form if that's what you so choose. The reason why I say to not have the logarithmic button enabled when you copy a chart is because TradingView broke themselves several years ago. And no matter how many complaints you make about it, they still don't fix it. That you can see this does fit perfectly over the top, even though I copied it in linear form. It will fit on top of the logarithmic chart. But if I go over here and I try to copy this while we have log enabled, notice that the dimensions of this chart are no longer appropriate. How I can perfectly line up this top up in here with this right here. But for some reason, we're not coming all the way down to the bottom down in here. And the same thing goes down here. If I bring this down to the bottom to get it down here, look, we don't make it all the way to the top. However, that chart that I copied when we were in linear form fits perfectly on top. Whereas the one I copied in log does not. So that's just an error on TradingView's part that they've never fixed after all these years. So anyway, hope that helps. Dr. Ty says, when Lambo, member for 34 months. Brother, thank you. Quentin Weiss 4006, member for 30 months, says, love and miss you, brother. My man, thank you. Tactical Pew Pew says, feel like today might be top for retrace with Congress voting, and ChatGPT thinks 96 and 97 is the retrace top. That would be interesting if 96 to 97 was it. I don't know. Like, out of all the numbers I've had, I don't know if 96 or 97 was ever on my radar as being the actual number. You know, one thing I don't think the moving averages are going to matter. I think if we're going to get this high, here's my thoughts. If we're going to get to $101,000, I don't think we'll stop there. I think we'll get to 106. Or at least, 106, 107. I really doubt that ends up being the stopping point. As for how many days you said for a day, I mean, maybe like I said earlier, like I think you don't get these types of actions to happen and tops to form on bad news. Everybody's looking for bad news. They happen on really good news. Soman9010 says, are you buying more Monero after a couple more months? No. I disclosed it earlier. Monero has grown so large. It's my second largest position. I don't need more exposure to Monero. It's in a parabolad. I don't need any more exposure than I already have. Hey, BCB from Ponchero. Hey, BCB, really appreciate your content. Thank you. What's your thoughts on the Russell breaking out and breadth? Well, there's no breadth in crypto. We touch on the Russell a lot. The hard part is we have metals going the opposite way. So we have two opposing forces. You have one that's historically good, which is the Russell, and then you have one that's historically really bad, which is metals. And what we saw is that crypto got annihilated the second that silver broke out. A historical thing. Like my first ever major newsletter that I ever wrote was specifically talking about the relationship of metals and Bitcoin and crypto. And the irony of it being that the October 10th liquidation happens upon the breakout of silver from its 45-year high. And so we're met with opposing forces, right? Like historically speaking, in 2013, 2017, and 2021, we had equity breakouts happening all at the same time with metals pulling back or cooling off, right? We had very simple, repeatable cyclical behavior happening in all three cycles. Everybody wants to say it's Black Reward having this, Black Reward having that, but it really was just like perfect. Every 4 years, broader markets were acting exactly the same right after the elections ended up happening, over and over, repeatable. And then in 2024 and into 2025, we end up kind of having the same thing where, market all moves together. We have XRP runs from 50 cents to $3, right? But we don't have broader participation because the Russell really isn't cooperating and getting out. Years prior, we see the S&P, NASDAQ, and Dow all escape, but the Russell gets left behind. It's really shallow breadth. It's just the Mag 7, right? Like we can't get broad participation happening in markets. So it has just been very different in trying to say it's anything like 2013, 2017, or 2021 is just lying in general, because it hasn't been outside of one thing that did happen. And I just think the people who, I don't need to say that, but I think the one thing that was very consistent about this cycle, that was very consistent of past cycles, is that when the presidential election ended, the market ripped and Bitcoin broke into its new all-time high, and the altcoin market ripped during that breakout into the all-time high, right? That's the only thing that was really consistent about this cycle. Otherwise, timing was much longer and drawn out, and breadth is horrible, right? Like so few coins, right? Which we anticipated, right? We anticipated it would be less because of 2021. In 2021, only 20% of the top 100 could even touch their all-time high. It was anticipated that it would be similar to that or worse this time around. I think it was like way worse, right? So, but we never had a very consistent theme of 2013, 2017, and 2021 where Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, and Russell all escape together. And then, now you have the Russell kind of teetering up there, but at the exact same time, silver just blasting above $90, doing whatever it's going to do, however high it's going to go. And the crypto market got annihilated the second that silver broke out. So you just have super opposing forces in trying to put all that together. And so when we're trying to link all that together, what can I really do on trying to interpret all of that? It's kind of hard to draw a picture of that. You're like, well, Russell, that's really good, but metals, that's really bad. Who wins, right? Well, metals have won, right? Like straight up, we can argue it all we want, but metals have won. Otherwise, what's the other thing we can do? Well, we can just look at the charts. We can look at the technical indicators and say, what are the technicals telling us? What is the behavior? What is the sentiment? How is the market reacting? And kind of focus on things that are more within our control of interpreting. And the things that we can control is this. And all of this has been very mimicking of a bear market. And like everybody can like get themselves nice and like manipulated and gaslit by influencers to believe it hasn't been, but it has been. Like, right? I mean, like, that's December of 2024. We're still below it. Go find me something where we're over 1 year beyond that price and we're still in a bull market. There are none. Like, right? You are. It is what it is. Either way, I don't think it's going to last forever. I think we'll get through it. Maybe like if you just see I theorized about this in the last Markets in the Morning. I theorized about this in my newsletter. Maybe we just see some big whip happen on the S&P 500, the Dow, the NASDAQ. Congress is going to ban themselves from buying stocks at the peak, right? And then maybe that's the surprise of the market. Maybe that's the good news, right? Such good news. And then the Russell has a big whipsaw back with it, and maybe the thing is the Russell isn't actually expanding right now. It's just kind of giving an illusion of it because it's kind of poking up there. But maybe there's one more big whipsaw, and then we see that rotational type of behavior happen where the S&P, Dow, and NASDAQ have all topped, and the Russell kind of gains some steam. It's hard, right? That's all theoretical, like making that up in my own head on if that's going to end up happening or not. I do think we'll see another cycle in crypto. Not sure what it will look like. I've just finished writing a whole newsletter about it. I do think we'll see another one in crypto, but I'm not sure how many more we have and the type of market that we have after this next one. All right, moving on. Thank you, brother. Sihan Lifestyle, part 1 and 2. You're one of my favorite analysts. I trust you are untouchable other than this stupid limited chat. Part 2 of 2, you have a big responsibility and you know it, and you won't go into much detail of other coins and so on. But on the other side, you know your followers invest millions based on your analysis? ? I'm just a tool, man. I can't control what people do. I can't control if people buy. I can't control if people sell. I can come on here and just talk, right, and provide stuff. What people do with their money is what they decide to do with their money. I'll tell you what I do with mine. You know when I win. You know when I lose. But yeah, I should only be a tool of your stuff. And that's also why I come on here and I say I never tell you when to buy and I never tell you when to sell. I'm scared to tell you that. I'm also scared of this market in general. That's why I don't bring up a lot of the lower cap coins. Like, I just don't like to bring up anything when we get outside of the top 100. I even get nervous even bringing up stuff around the top 100 because it's so volatile. And I do feel a great responsibility when I come on here. It's hard to put that into words. I think there are people who have zero problem coming on to these channels and saying whatever they need to say to get the clicks, to get the likes and the affiliate link signups and all that type of stuff. And I'm not trying to put myself on a high horse by any means because I'm just not perfect. And anyway, I understand that when you do this type of stuff and you commit this much time and energy to it, that you want to treat it like a job. You want to make money and feed your family and do all that kind of stuff. But I find there's so much, just, you guys know it. I make fun of it, like the ISO 2022 stuff or the Fed buyback crap. Like, I mock it because it's so stupid. But people buy into it, and there's influencers that'll sell it to you like it's real without batting an eye. And I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to put into words of like how great responsibility it is to do it. Like, that's why I always try to give you the credit when you guys were like, I made a huge win. Thank you so much. It's like, man, don't give me credit, bro. You did it. Because things can go south too, right? Like, they can go bad. I pray about it a lot. I do not express to you on the channel how much of a toll it takes on me, the responsibility I put on myself. of what it's like to come on to X and to be burned alive by the mob. But yeah, I don't know. I'm doing my best, man. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm just doing my absolute best that I possibly can. And I hope along the way that I'm some kind of help. I don't want to do any harm. But, you know, the best thing I can tell you is, you know, I'm not perfect. You know, I'm not going to be perfect. But know that I'm trying really hard. All right. I think I saw you in Costco in Houston. I was not in Costco. I don't have a Costco membership. But I would, I want to go to Costco. I was telling my wife that recently. I want to buy some canned food for the church. I was like, we give him my expired green beans. But no. Brandon Hammond, I'm so sick of the questions on Bitcoin Cash, but at the same time, I need you to say that Bitcoin Cash is the future of finances, nowhere up but up from here. I'm surprised you didn't like admit the truth that Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin. I'm sorry, but that's not true because Monero is the real Bitcoin. All right, we're done. We're done. All right, we got to move in Bitcoin. We got to move in there. Keep eyes on retraces. Man, am I going to have to sell some stuff pretty soon? We might be getting there. All right, that's it. I think I got through everything. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Guys, as always, I'm super grateful for you always tuning in and for being here. If you could hit the like button too, you just hit X on the live chat and then hit the like button, then you hit live chat and come right back and not miss any of the wild antics that take place in here. But yeah, Carlos Alonzo in the chat, he said, hey, BSB, how far can XRP expand in this retracement? Love your content. Thank you, brother. So an expansion is expanding. Retracements are just retracements. My personal thoughts is that probably was the top over in here. There's always a possibility it kind of grinds back up in here, similarly to right, when we did all this, right? So, don't hold your breath. But expanding would have to be actually breaking out. Otherwise, you may just be saying, how high do you think it could go? I think, a reasonable level, maybe 228 or something like that if it has the juice to get up in here. But that's not even a hard set in stone number because you could see we can come back up at the same time. So it's range bound right now. What you're wanting, if you're wanting true expansion at this point, 270 is your number. You want to see 270 get blasted. And if you got 270 blasted, we might have to reopen that can of worms on talking about $8 again. So, Millman702 said, thanks, BSB. Looking forward to the newsletter. It'll be published tomorrow morning. It's fully written. When I get off this live stream, I'm going to go through and do the editing of it. How many pages is this thing? I've been trying to make them shorter, but I'm failing. $55 pages long. Jeez, man. I really like them to be 25 minutes long. That's what I really like. But they've been pushing the 40 to 55 minute for quite a while. I just don't want to set the expectation of always being 40 to 55 minutes. It's so much. So in the coming months, try to gradually work that back down to 25 minutes. But anyway, it's 55 pages long. Yeah, Money says, hey, can we nuke the markets? Because I miss the bull streams. I miss the bull streams too. This is just part of markets, man. Right? It's not that the markets are broken. It's just that this is what markets do. Like all the upward action, you have to have resets. You have to have pauses. So, all right, you guys, thank you all so much for being here. We'll do it like this. Let's do it on the outro. I got to get going. But all right. Check out the newsletter over here at blockchainbacker.substack.com. There'll be a new one posted tomorrow morning. You can catch the end of your newsletter in there and looking ahead to 2026. Otherwise, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.